I'm not going to teach. Hello and welcome to Hardened Scales for Beginners. Yeah, this is a short intro. Just like, I don't know if it was clear, but I'm gonna be releasing one of these videos every week. So I'm gonna be releasing it every Tuesday. I'm gonna be making like, I make them at one go because I cannot play another league if I stay with the beginner's deck. But it's not beginner's deck. It's like the same deck. You just maybe trying to get all the cards in there so we can try all of them. So yeah, if you like content, please let me know down below. If this is like, if you want me to go more details, you want me to slow down a bit more, maybe you want me to go over replays a bit more, let me know and I will do that. This is the series made for you to improve and become more proficient at Hardened Scales, and I hope that I'm doing a good job at explaining my reasonings. Anyway, without further ado, enjoy the video. Hello, and welcome one week more to Hardened Scales for newer players. We are playing Hardened Scales, and we're playing basically in this as always in this series. I'm focusing on playing deck, focusing basically on the interactions we have. So not thinking so much about what our opponents do, but thinking more what our cards are doing, so I can get to explain everything that's going on. And this hand looks pretty good. The way I evaluate it, okay, we have double Ozolith, but it can be destroyed. But we have 2 lands, which is really the minimum you want. We are on the draw. Pulling mulligan, that doesn't really matter. And we have a pretty good turn 2 play in Walking Ballista, Ravager. You know, Ravager and Ingmoth, they can always go together to get some heals. Scrapyard Recombiner can be played later on for the same purpose. So in general, I'm happy with this hand. I mean, it's not amazing. It's not as have Hardened Scales, but it also has a green source just in case. So I'll keep it. So my plan of the gate, it depends a lot on what the opponent's playing, but I may play Ravager or Ballista turn 2. Opponent is really mulliganing. They're mulliganing to 4. I mean, I'm guessing we're playing against Strong. It's kind of mulliganing only really means Strong, basically. Or Dredge. Strong Dredge, but that doesn't really matter. So the focus today, is going to be playing on our own cards. So they're playing Arimesa, interesting. And that's our turn. We draw a card. That's a Welding Jar. That's pretty good. Maybe I will keep it hidden because I don't see... I mean, I would rather they destroy this Ozolith. So I'm gonna start with Ingmoth next because I want to take damage from the Nurturing Pitland. They could be playing, you know, out. Okay, this could be Dredge actually. So we could play Welding Jar. Welding Jar can basically buff up some of our creatures. That looks a lot like Dredge. They shock. They life from the Loma land. Put a Dredger in the graveyard. Okay. So not the very fastest start by our opponent, but you shouldn't underestimate Dredge under any circumstances. That's Hardened Scales. That's really good, but problem is... Yeah, actually we could get a kill down if we draw a line next turn with this setup. So we play the Hardened Scales next turn, we have a kill. So I'll explain how you... So what we will do, we're going to play the Ravager and the Welding Jar. Next turn we're going to play the Hardened Scales, animate the Ingmoth Nexus, hit the Welding Jar, that's 3 counters on the Ravager, then sacrifice it, will go 4 counters over here, and oh, actually that's not lethal. Indeed not lethal. Makes me more inclined to play this. So what I was looking at is if we play Welding Jar, we could maybe make it work. Who knows? Maybe the Ballista. So, like, just what I'm trying to say is, if we play Ivan Ravager, then we can sacrifice next to the Welding Jar to put 3 counters. Like, it will be a 3/3. Then we can sacrifice it to itself, move 4 counters to the Ingmoth. 3 counters will go over the Ozolith, which will mean a 9/9 Ingmoth. That's not lethal. I think I'm just gonna start playing the Ballista then. They don't really have a lot of removal. I'm just gonna play the Welding Jar. I'm gonna play the Ballista and hope to draw a land next turn. That would be ideal. Yeah. We like to. It's good to have a Ballista out as soon as possible because then you can threaten a kill faster. Like Ballista kills faster than Ravager, even though Revist and Ravager kind of work together with the Ozolith. They dredge nothing, just worth mentioning. The Cathartic Reunion, that gets scary. They were gonna dredge 1 and maybe dredge another one. 2 Prized Amalgams. But no card returned from the graveyard. I think with draw land we may have this. Dredge doesn't really play interaction, so okay, this just concede. But what I would have done there, okay, let's see what we draw. We don't draw land. Most likely I will be playing the Arcbound Ravager, attack with the Ballista, play Hardened Scales next turn, and just go for it with everything. By going for it, I mean playing Hardened Scales a turn after, sacrificing the Welding Jar, sacrificing the Ozolith, playing another Ozolith, then we have a 6/6 Ravager, then we move the counters over the Ballista by sacrificing the Ravager to itself, then those counters will be moved onto the second Ozolith, and then we can put them on top of the Ballista again for an easy kill. Okay, so we won game 1. Let's go into game 2. I'm not going to talk too much about sideboarding, but yeah. Sometimes they bring in, yeah. Hope you enjoy that we don't have a taskbar. So cards that I don't love here, I think it's the see on the draw. That was slow. Slow. I like the Graveyard Hate. Don't love for Ozolith. Seeing one is fine. I think the one claim can hit Leyline of the Void if they're playing it. They seem very keen on mulliganing, so I'm gonna cut also one Ancient Steerings and the other Throne. Throne is just a very slow card, especially on the draw. And I will submit this. You know, Torpor Orb is good because it stops Spice Amalgams and it stops Oxovagon's ability. This hand is decent. It has hate. It has a worker. They're mulliganing again. So the way I'm evaluating this hand, because a post-board game is different than a pre-board game, and really trying to think, Gravity Escape is probably our best card against them. And also we have the Nature's Claim in case they play the Leyline, which they don't. So they go tapped again. In this situation, you have two tap lands, which are the Llanowar Reborn, and there's not really a big reason to just be playing either a Darksteel Citadel and an Arcbound Worker, or a Darksteel Citadel and a Gravity Escape, and this allows you to have 2 mana on turn 2. So it's kind of an investment, right? Llanowar Reborn, you pay. So I would rather start with Llanowar Reborn when I don't have a strong turn 1 play. And then probably play the Sketch, probably the next turn or the turn after. Fish Shock. Most likely we're facing a Cathartic Union, which could be dangerous, who knows. They're dredging a lot. That's an Ox. And an Narcomoeba. Well, they only got Narcomoeba. We're not gonna graft onto them. The only thing they got. So we draw, and I think now seeing this setup that they have, basically next turn they can bring back the Oxovagoness and Dredge for a lot of cards. We don't really want them to do that, at least we want them to work for it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna play this Gravity Escape, right? So, but since we want to use our mana efficiently, I'm gonna start with Ancient Steerings, trying to find a Ballista or something like that we can play the turn after. Or maybe a Land. Even next is good because it kind of allows us to win the game. Like it gives us another avenue to win the game. So I'll probably pick that up over all the other cards, which are just lands. And yeah, we found a lot of lands. Probably just an email next. For any order. So now here I'm gonna play the Gravity Escape because I'm afraid of these Oxovagoness. They don't have Ancient Grudge and they couldn't cast it. It just basically also stops the Conflagrate, stops a lot of their cards, right? So we will just play the Emo Nexus and play the Gravity Escape. That's a turn. We took maybe a risk not playing it turn 1. Maybe it's worth it playing it turn 1. But yeah. Now we have the cage. Now they have the Ancient Grudge, but they cannot cast it from the graveyard because we have the Gravity Escape. They could have an answer for it in hand though. They play Life from the Loam, get some lands back. That's alright. They'll play another land. They could try to find Blast Zone. That's the only card of this. But we have a pretty decent next turn, I would say. Yeah. See what we draw. They don't attack with an Narcomoeba. Very interesting. Very defensive play by them. Trying to gain time. Okay, that is a pretty good draw. thing, the Scabier Recombiner, that we can turn, you know, next turn we could turn we could basically look for a ballista and try to start putting on some pressure. I think that's what we're gonna do. Still have the Nature's Claim just in case they find the ley line of the Void. So we're gonna play the Recombiner here. Basically, it sets up good for next turn. We have them kind of controlled with the Craftigus Cage, you know, stopping their Oxovagonus, the Ancient Grudges, the Conflagrate. So we have a bit of time, and we want to use that time the best to our ability. And, you know, playing Metallic Mimic and Worker doesn't seem so appealing to me. I'll probably just play the Scabier Recombiner. And next turn we can look into... I'm not gonna graft onto it. We can look into doing something interesting like this. So they are fetching probably tab land, that's fine. We pass a turn. They're basically playing Scabier Recombiner in this situation like this, where we have some amount of control over our opponent. They mill 3 irrelevant cards. Is that it allows us to replay Stingray. That's a good sign. I'm gonna say always no to our opponent, and I'm gonna pass the turn. I have 2 flyers, but that's not the biggest deal. They attack with an Arcbound, that's also fine. Here, it's a bit of a trick for you. You can tap an artifact like Darksteel Citadel, tap the Scabier Recombiner to sacrifice it, and you still hold the mana open, so you can just sacrifice the Darksteel Citadel here and look for a construct, and this construct is going to be Walking Ballista. Then we can play the other Land of Reborn, and I'm gonna tap Demon Nexus, for example, play the Metallic Mimic, name construct with it. We'll say no, okay, no. Then I'm gonna play the Worker, we'll get 2 counters, okay, no, no. And we're gonna play the Walking Ballista. Most likely move all the counters to it. Yes. We have a 3/3 Ballista now, which is pretty strong. So we're well set up to try to find a kill next turn, even through these yeah, they find a Creeping Shield that's not casted, so they can actually will take 3 damage. They put Nature's Claim, Lightning Axe, Creeping Shield, and they just concede. Alright, so that shows the power of Craftigus Cage. No other graveyard hit does enough. I'm gonna explain what I would be doing in this situation now. So let's see, we draw a card. So we find a line which is perfect. Then from here, we can do many things. One of them will be playing Ravager and Ravager. Then sacrificing the Worker, putting the counters over the Ballista. And then we could find another Ballista, for example, or a Hangavac, and just basically start just chaining cards, right? You know, Scabier Recombiner kind of takes over the game here. So yeah, that was the game. Not much to say. Most importantly, I think the trick that we probably learned that maybe you didn't know about is Scabier Recombiner can sacrifice Darksteel Citadel, and you can tap it before sacrificing it, which is an advantage. And from the first game, yeah, just like this idea that even if you have 2 Ozolith, which may be a deck card, it's not a bad idea to keep 2 Ozolith hands rather than go down to 6, because in reality, it could be that they destroy the Ozolith, and when you have already a functional hand with an extra Ozolith, it's just kind of like extra, you know? It's like if you mulligan to 6 and somebody gives you an extra Ozolith, you would be like, yeah, I think I'll take it. So this hand, it was a keepable 6 without the extra Ozolith, so that's what kind of is my reasoning to keep it with the other. So this was a shorter video. I don't know if I will add another match to it or not, but yeah, I hope you enjoy. Let me know, give me feedback. Is this something that is useful? Like, what should I talk even more? Should I talk less? What's, you know, like, what are you thinking when you're seeing this live? So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next week for another episode of this.